Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we're going to be talking about long-distance relationships, why they work and don't work. Simple title, simple situation, not really. This one comes up a lot. A lot of people are actually starting out in a long-distance relationship online, where this was something in the past that only happened after you were together. Someone got a new job, someone had to go away to school, shit happened, you had to move, you were in love, you wanted to stay in love, and you talked about it. Now the circumstances have changed a bit with all these people meeting online, meeting from different countries. And, someone could be having a relationship with someone in Siberia and they're living in Oregon or France, right? And this happens a lot, and it comes up a lot the last year or two with online relationships. And basically someone said, oh, this is an online relationship. It's a long distance relationship is what it is. And what happens is it starts out that way, and people settle in and they sacrifice a lot. And some of those long distance ones can last a long time because they started that way, so the expectations weren't as high. But I would definitely say that long distance relationships are probably more common than ever before with the internet and FaceTime, and Skype and Zoom. And people are settling for online intimacy, things like that. So, and it's okay if it's okay with you. I've had plenty of clients that find it to fill their needs, are excited about it and carry on, and actually are heartbroken when they break up because they were in a real relationship, even though they never met each other. Now I'm going to go into some of the things that, some of the reasons why a long distance will work and not work. And this is stuff I've talked about before, but this is an updated version. And we do have a long breakup story to unpack that came in recently. And the person's actually emailed me numerous times, pretty anxious about my response, because basically they're waiting to make a move on their next move to see what I say. So this is going to be really interesting. But before we get started, John Leslie, seeing one another once a week is considered long distance? Listening in the Jeep, Mac, right on. Thanks for the update, Mountain Timer. Sabina, welcome. Chris the Critic, how you doing? John, you said seeing one another once a week is considered long distance. Well, I mean, how far apart do you live? Long distance is usually based on what up? No context for cartoons. I'm good, bud. To me, long distance has to do with not being easily traveled to their location. Wow, that sounded really convoluted, huh? If you're not able to visit the person or see them immediately, and I would say, I don't know, that's up to you to gauge, but I would say a 1 to 2 hour drive would not even be long distance, right? Because you can do that you can go see someone for a weekend. I'd say, shoot, if someone lives 3 hours away on a drive and you have a car, which not everyone does, and you can afford gas, which not everyone can, to do that every weekend, well, that's fine. I wouldn't say that's a long distance relationship. I'd say that's something that you can do okay. And one of my baseline things, and this isn't a rule of thumb, this is just my personal opinion, is if you're going to keep something going long distance, it's ideal, not required, but ideal that you at least see each other in person once a month, right? That's just my opinion. So, and I find that you can keep your relationship going by getting that 3D, seeing each other in the real skin once a month is a big one. So seeing each other once a week in person, I wouldn't consider long distance. That means that the distance isn't very far. And but there's plenty of people out there that go, oh, it's no problem as long as we FaceTime every day. Because there's plenty of people that will FaceTime, Skype, or Zoom every day. And those kind of people usually are very disciplined, are very loyal. And if they lock in on something, they haven't had a lot of relationships. They're not curious. They're not very social. I've known people like this. I've worked with them. So one example, I'm not going to say who it was or whatnot, but the woman that I worked with, very conservative, very religious. She was in her early 30s, very kind, and she kept a long distance, long-term relationship going for, I want to say 2 to 3 years. But I mean, she'd go to work, she'd go home, and they would talk every night. And then they'd see each other maybe once or twice a year because they lived in different countries. And very nice guy, had met him before. They were officially together, so there was no gray area that they weren't. They had met traveling. They both liked traveling, and it worked. And she ended up moving to his country. They got married. As far as I know, they're still together. That was 10 years ago that I worked with this woman. And it worked. So to me, there's a certain kind of person it can work for. There's no, whenever you get advice about breakups, relationships, myself included, take into account who you are as an individual and your individual relationship. And that's why I'm always going to encourage you to get a live coaching session, because when you do a live coaching session, you got a real issue. There's going to be twists and turns, questions I ask that won't come up in general information. So if I was going to give you general information about a long distance relationship, which I am now, but I'm going to give you the questions to ask yourself, right? This is based on what I've seen overall, but there are exceptions to every rule, and long distance relationships can absolutely work. Okay, so let me get into this. And like I said, I have some if you're in a long distance relationship, considering one, or just curious, rather than to tell you exactly what to do, I have some questions that you should ask. So number one, do you have a finish line? So what do I mean by that? Do you plan to live in their country, city, zip code in the future, or they will live in your city, zip code in the future? So is that 6 months away, 1 year away, 6 to 8 months away, some kind of ballpark? If you move and you're like, I'm not really sure, that's not a finish line. That's, an open trail. Finish lines work if you stick to them. So if you say, I'm going to be back in 6 months, then someone can gauge for that. I'm going to be back in 3 months, or you're going to move over here. The problem is when people move, finish lines change, and then people get really disappointed. Okay. The problem also is, even if the finish line's agreed upon to be a year, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, when someone actually moves away and it gets real, people go, wow, it's been so hard for 3 weeks. How am I going to do this for 6 months? Okay, so a lot of people do not have the heart to be that way. Okay, so, but the number one, have some kind of finish line where you're going to meet. And if you can't live in the same area, where at least you're going to see each other again, and you can count on that. In 2 months, I'm going to come to visit you. Now, this works, and it works in the beginning of long-distance relationships, but the longer a long-distance relationship goes, the more the odds are against you to keep it going, because circumstances are going to get in the way. People are going to get disappointed. They're going to want to see you, and someone's going to be left holding the bag. There's always someone that goes, I don't like this anymore. And the other person goes, well, we're doing just fine. And I'm going to get to why that is. And there's usually a very common reason or theme for someone getting sick of it. And I'll come to that in a moment. Number two, do you have thick skin? What do I mean by that? If you text someone and they live in a different time zone, or they live, East Coast to West Coast, that's a 3-hour difference, and they don't text you back like they usually did, can you handle that? Are you going to whine and complain and throw a guilt net on them? Because that's going to be one of the obstacles, is if you're going to have a texting relationship, which most people have, and you're sensitive to the fact that they don't respond right away, or we were supposed to talk at 5:30. You were 5 minutes late. What happened? Okay, this is just going to make things much more difficult to work in a long distance relationship. Number 3, how's the communication now? Is the communication really good now? Will your schedules work? Very underrated. Usually when someone's going to a new place, they have a new job, they have a new schedule that will be different than what they had before. Schedules affect relationships. Jobs definitely affect relationships. And so, if someone's working 9 to 5 and the other person has a night shift and your only communication is online, not in person, it's not going to last. Number 4, this is a big one. And this comes up when I have a client that comes to me about a long distance relationship, and I'll say, have you had a long distance relationship before? And I would say majority of people that have a big problem with them have never had one before, and they just believe it's going to work because we love each other and we have, good communication. We have this. But if you've never done one before, you don't know how it feels, and it's not fun. It's not ideal. And especially if you had a good relationship going into the long distance, you're going to really miss that person. It's almost like going through a breakup. And if you don't have any experience in that, what people will do is they'll panic, they'll blame, they'll get needy, and they'll sabotage the relationship. So if you're not prepared for that, look out. And by the way, you don't know what you don't know. Ignorance. Ignorance isn't always bliss. It can result into bad breakups. And so, have you had one of these before? If you haven't, this is a good thing to listen to just to prepare yourself, because when you haven't experienced something before, like a long distance, you don't know what you're getting into. You're assuming. And what does assuming do? Number 5, how can it work? Well, I'll just tell you really quick. It works like this. Number 1, are you in a relationship with a person that isn't jealous or controlling? Okay, in any way, because long distance is really going to encourage people to be more controlling or jealous if that's in their nature already. Number 3. Okay, this is a big one, and I'm going to come back to this. And if you heard my live stream before and you heard me talk, environments are huge. I'm going to say locations are big. If they're moving to an environment or a job that is, how should I say this? A place where they can meet another mate. Okay, so let's just use university, for example. Let's say someone's going to UCLA and you guys were high school sweethearts and you've been together a while, and they got into UCLA grad school and you're staying back in Iowa. Now, I've never been to Iowa, so don't take that personal. But UCLA is going to be a place, and you're in a small town in Iowa of 5,000 people, and they moved to LA. They're going to be in a location, atmosphere where they're more likely to meet someone. Okay? Just by chance. That's just the way it is. And someone can go, well, that's not fair. That's not loyal. That's not this. Location, environment counts. Where they're moving to counts. Okay? And if you're in an area where you're not meeting a lot of people of that caliber or that level, and one thing that comes to mind in my head right now is I had a client years back. He was from India. And he was about 25, 26 years old. And he went to the UK for, I think, grad school. Very smart individual, very intelligent guy. That's why he came to me, right? And fell in love with a woman that was Russian. They were in some class or course together. They fell in love, and it was bliss for him. It was the greatest experience. He had only had one serious relationship before that. She had come to India. I don't think he had gone to Russia. They had been in the UK together for a good year. And he was just infatuated with her. And she loved him too. I mean, from what he told me. And basically, for him, for her beauty, he wasn't going to meet anyone like that in his city or his town. Okay. Number 2, he was completely dedicated and just all in. She eventually said that she couldn't do without the intimacy. that it was just getting old, and 1 year had gotten to 1 year and a half or 2 years of not seeing each other. And she aborted the relationship, and it just broke him. Now, like I said, the area that he lived in, he didn't really have a lot of other options that leveled up to that for him, where she met someone else. Okay, and this is what happens. So if someone's moving to a university or a job where they're going to meet another mate possibly, I'm not telling you to be scared. Just be aware. Just be aware that that's going to be more of a chance of them straying or saying it's not going to work. Because a lot of times the beginning of the end is when someone just notices that they're interested in other people. They don't even need to necessarily cheat or do something. A good person in a good relationship might register, you know what, I'm starting to just get feelings for other people that are in the present space that I'm in now. And that's why I want to break up, even though that's not what I'm going to say. If they're moving to a location or a city or a town that's favorable to meet someone else, and there's places like that, and I'd say LA would have more people than a small town in Iowa. You get my point. It's probably not going to work. Okay, so why try? Why try on long distance? Well, I would never fault someone for trying, because you know what? It could work. Like I said, there's exception to every rule. If you want to try it, what I would say is, if it crumbles quick, don't fight it. But have that finish line. Consider the locations. Consider the communication level. Okay? Consider the fact if you've never done one before, like I've mentioned earlier. You want to try it? Try it. But in my experience, in listening to breakups for 4 years plus, the odds are against you. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. Relationships have hurdles already. Why not to do it? So what do I mean by that? Like, well, you're in the midst of a situation where someone's leaving. You're considering if you should try or not try. If I had said why not try, you're not good with communication already. You know that you're already a jealous person. There's part of you that doesn't trust them. You're at a place in your life where you're at your best. What do I mean by that? You're a catch. You don't need to wait for someone 1 year or 2 years. I'll give you one more reason why not. You don't agree with their reason for moving. They're moving for a better job, better education, to be closer to family because someone's ill in the family. That comes up. And you, in the depths of your heart and soul, you think to yourself, you left me? You're going to leave me? If that's how you feel, then you're going to be blameful. You should agree with why they're moving and understand it. If you don't, then don't try to have a long distance relationship, because you're going to sabotage it or you're going to throw it in their face. And if they're a strong enough person, they're going to say bye-bye. All right, next one. Who does well in LDRs, long distance relationship? Who doesn't it work for? I mentioned this earlier, so this might be redundant. Just people that follow rules, are extremely loyal, religious sometimes. What I mean by that, their religion says that they're not going to cheat or stray, and they hold those values very strongly. They're very conservative, and their word means a lot. Those are people it really works for. Now, some people, isn't everyone like that? No. Majority of people are not like that. Who doesn't it work for? People that like intimacy in their relationship, real intimacy. Number two, people that don't like talking in text. I personally don't love texting all the time or calling all the time. I like seeing my girlfriend or whoever I'm seeing in person. So it doesn't work that well for me, because I don't have the patience to have an hour or 2 hour conversation about what you ate today and what you were up to, right? I do have the patience to do a coaching session, about someone's breakup, but I don't want to talk like that. And so you just have to know what you're up for. All right, the other part. We're going to get to the story pretty soon. Locations count. I already mentioned this. So keep in mind where they're moving to and where you live. And who has the more optimal chance of meeting someone else makes a big difference. Number 10, you both have to be committed. I don't think I need to explain that, but you both have to be committed to the relationship in the long distance. Number 11, how do you see this playing out? Be honest with yourself. Take a step back after you talk to them. How do you really see this playing out? Do you really believe you'll end up lasting? Number 12, what's your real intentions? Why do you want to stay with them long distance? Is it because you believe this is your soulmate? Is it because you'll never meet a person this rich? Is it because you've been together for 6 years and you don't want to throw that away? What's your real intentions? Get in touch with that. Is that worth the pain of a long distance relationship? And I would say, in my experience, there's going to be more pain, questionable situations in a long distance relationship than a relationship where you're present for each other. So, saying all that, it's kind of interesting. I do see a sweet spot where people get along really well when they see each other 2 to 3 times a week. They miss each other just enough and they don't live together. It seems like that's a real sweet spot for relationships. So I don't think you necessarily need to live together, but you definitely ideally want to see each other 2 to 3 times a week. So let's get into the story. Let me check in on the live stream real quick, and then we'll start the story here. We have 6 on deck, 2 likes. Happy holidays. It's cold here. Got the beanie on today. Haven't been this cold in years. But it's good for the system, huh? Wakes you up. All right, Sabina, Chris the Critic, John Leslie, Mountain Timer, No Context for Cartoons, finally made it to a live. Jenna Brooks, not related to Garth, I take it. Women complain about not seeing them often, I suppose. Once or twice a year. Hendrik Kramer. It will not work for us. My girlfriend and I are very clingy. She wants to be full-time in my arms. Yes, that would be a case that long distance doesn't work. Clingy can signal insecurity. Depends on your definition of clingy. Someone that's not affectionate would find, someone clingy if they just touch their hand 3 times, right? So it depends on your definition of that. I am religious, but I don't want a long distance, Hendrik says. Okay. Eduardo Martinez, we're live. Yes, possible, Jenna. I'm with you. I need in-person time. Absolutely. That's just who I am. You got to be honest with yourself. If you want to try and it goes bad the first 3 weeks, first month, first 2 months, and it's on life support already, cut the plug. Move on. You're going to have to deal with it. I don't think there's a problem with trying. My thing with trying is that what you did when you got together, or did it just flow? The best things in life don't involve a lot of trying. They involve flow. Things fall into place. Okay, and that's how good relationships usually go. So if you find yourself trying to make the long distance work too much, that's not what you're in a relationship for. Right? It should flow like a river. All right, so let's get into the story today that was sent in. Like I said, this individual has emailed me a couple times since. Hey, are you gonna drop the story? Here it is. Dearest Coach Mac. I like that. I don't know what to do next, but my breakup has really got me at this point. I broke up 3 weeks and 2 days ago, and it feels like 1 year. I'm burning inside. That's an interesting way to put it. You shouldn't use those kind of narratives when you talk about things. It's not good for you. 3 weeks and 2 days, I can tell you're feeling it because you're counting the days. There's a lot of people out there that feel that way after 3 weeks. 3 weeks to a month is the toughest time out of a breakup. 21 days to 1 month. I'm 33, he's 41. I believe my ex will never come back, and I really messed up a good thing. Okay, so whenever you use never in breakups, it's highly dramatic and it doesn't help your situation. What's never, what's forever, right? Those are words that just make it worse. I'm burning inside, just makes it worse. I would prefer I'm hurt. We were together for over 2 years. I felt like the way we met was destiny. I mean, it felt like a movie. I was on the beach just doing some meditation and relaxing by myself. It was my favorite beach that I go to often. And he was doing some yoga on the beach alone. I found that so attractive. I watched from afar, about 50 yards away. Okay. Then when he started walking up the beach, I waved and smiled at him. This wasn't out of character for me, as I'm a friendly and kind person, but I don't usually have this wave this excitedly, is that a word, at people I don't know. That's why I think he might be my soulmate. And that day, at that time, I was destined to meet him. I only say that because the instant attraction wasn't just physical, it was this magical force. Okay, I believe you. He then walked over. He says, I waved him over, but I just smiled and waved hello. He came over and we talked. The difficult part was that he didn't speak very good English. He was visiting on a long stay visa and working at a yoga studio that his aunt owned. This was all translated to me, as he couldn't communicate his thoughts that well without the translator app. I was understanding of this and didn't mind using the translator app to help us. It was actually a cool way to communicate, as it gives each side a chance to speak and not be interrupted. The downside is that over time, some things don't get translated correctly or how I meant them. I've used translator apps. I know what you mean. That is one of the pluses, is that people get to finish what they're writing, but sometimes it doesn't get translated correctly. This is where you can see through my body language. Through the body language, or the translation wasn't what you meant. I'm getting off topic, I know. You are, but it's okay. You paid the $25 to send your story in. That's fine. Get your money's worth. Write your story the way you want to write your story. That day we talked for about 30 minutes and then asked if I wanted to get dinner as the sun went down. I'm telling you, it was like a movie. You told me once, you told me twice. I get it. I agreed. He then said he had to go back to his house to shower and clean the sand off. He invited me to follow him to his house, which is about 2 minutes from the beach. So just a, FYI to women out there, I would be hesitant meeting someone on the beach and going straight to their house. Just be cognizant of that. His house was super cool. I was in awe. It had a beautiful view, vaulted ceilings, books everywhere. This was my dream guy. Was this your dream guy or a dream house? So the attraction was added by seeing his house. Isn't that interesting? Can attraction be upped after you see someone's place? That's interesting. Interesting thought. I calmed myself down and turned down a beer from him. That actually made me uncomfortable, that he wanted to have a beer before we went out, but I just told him I'd rather just go eat. He agreed, and we took his motorcycle over to the restaurant, and that wasn't far. The restaurant was Italian and expensive. I didn't really like my food. He could tell. Our conversation was okay, mostly simple English and the use of a translator app. We ended the date okay, but I could tell he wasn't that into me, and that was okay. So right there, first impressions, sometimes it doesn't work. The first date doesn't work. That being said, I would venture to guess, if he wasn't highly attracted to you in that moment, and that's what you're feeling, because when someone's attracted to you, right? Especially as a woman, I think, but I've never been one. Women tell me, they can tell. This just tells me that he's not feeling it, and that'll transpire later on if you guys ended up getting together. I would say that he would probably care less about the relationship than you do, because in this first date, that seems like that's the narrative, right? He took me back to my car and I left. He never called me, and I wasn't surprised or hurt. The date didn't go great. I just felt like he was being nice to me, like friends, not interested in. Like friends, not I'm interested in you. Okay, I understand what you mean. I ended up running into him about a month later at a supermarket. We said hellos and we're friendly, but he didn't ask to go out. I was fine with that. Then about 6 weeks later, I was kicked out of my apartment because of my roommate, whom I was giving my rent money to, stopped paying her rent portion and never told me. Long story, I'll leave the details out. Thank you. I was basically homeless. Really? So I thought of the guy having such a big home to himself and him being all alone. So I went to his house and just told him what happened to me and if I could take a room till I get on my feet. He didn't agree at first, but then I explained through the translator that it wouldn't be long and that he could take my ID. He told me the house was his aunt's, which I later found out was a lie. It was his. He's actually a rich guy. He finally agreed after I made a copy of my ID to give to his aunt. Okay, so that's a little confusing, but I got you. So basically you're saying he's lied to you. He said he still didn't know me. I would agree. The first month we were basically distant roommates, and that was what I liked. We shared the kitchen, but he mostly kept to himself. He did have a couple booty calls roll through, but that was only once a week and none of my business. Well, that's also him telling you, I'm not interested in you. Plus, my room was on a different floor, so it didn't disturb me at all. Then in the middle of month 2, he was having some beers on the deck alone and called me over. We talked for a little. He was flirting, and then I took down some beer, which I never drink, but I was comfortable with him. Then we ended up sleeping together. Well, there you go. It's what alcohol does sometimes. It greases the wheels. I never drink, but I was comfortable with him. Then we ended up sleeping together. At that point, I thought we were together, but the next day he acted as though nothing had happened. Okay, so there's a clear miscommunication here that you believe once you sleep together or get intimate that you're together. You're on a different playing field here, right? The fact that he's had booty calls or other women over, knowing that you'll know, means that he doesn't look at you as a long-term relationship. Okay, he wouldn't make that evident to you if that was the case. Later that week, doesn't mean he can't change his mind. Doesn't mean that. Later that week, he had his booty call come over. I was upset, but he never made a big deal out of it. I mean, the funny thing is that's what you call it. Well, I wonder what he considers it. And I wonder if you really know what's going on with this booty call, because you're not in the room, right? I was upset, but never made a big deal out of it. We then hooked up a few more times, and before I knew it, we were sharing the bed nightly, his bed nightly. I've had 2 boyfriends before this guy, but I never felt this attracted to anyone. Okay. And the problem probably is he's not as attracted to you as you are to him, which is always the case in most relationships. There's never an equal attraction at all times. And the person that cares less rules the relationship. I was in love, and I'm not sure he was. Translations, I think you knew he wasn't. And, definitely not at your level. He just never felt as strong as I did. I soon took up all the house chores and cooked for him daily. He liked this, but he never did the same for me, which was fine. Well, if it's fine with you, there's no reason to state it. I mean, I was just in awe of him. I don't know if that's a good thing, if you're in awe of your partner. I had never been with a guy that I was this attracted to and attached. Big word, attached. The attachment theory people out there are going nuts right now. I've since realized after some therapy that having lost my dad at a young age, 12 years old, sorry to hear that I related this guy as being almost this father figure. I know it sounds twisted, but I was very close to my father and loved him very much, and this guy resembles my father in some of his character. I know it's not good as he just doesn't feel that strongly about me. Well, the fact that you went to a therapist, hopefully that you respect and got to the bottom of this and kind of realize why you are attached, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's you learning who you are and why you feel the way you do, and that's actually a positive thing. The therapist said it isn't uncommon. I would agree. We broke up 3 weeks ago and 2 days ago, and every day hurts more. Here's what happened. He sat me down and just told me that he didn't feel as strongly as I did. He wasn't in love, and that he'd be moving back to his home country in a month, and that he didn't want to do long distance. Well, there you go. It sounds like clear communication, even if it's through, broken English or a translator app. The problem is Reading this, I'm not surprised because he wasn't that into you from the beginning, and that's going to hurt your feelings, but I think you knew that the whole time. There's the other part of this that has you attached is you are benefiting from living at his house when you were quote unquote homeless. I don't know your financial situation, and I'm compassionate if you don't have a lot of extra money or whatnot, but this might add to the attraction, the fact that he has a really nice house and you've been living there for free because you haven't mentioned one time of paying anything. I'm sorry, I lost my place here. He sat me down and just told me that he didn't feel as strongly as I did. He wasn't in love and that he'd be moving back to his home country in a month and that he didn't want to do long distance. I asked to stay at his place. Well, there you go. See, part of your attachment you're not making evident is the fact that he has a nice place. He's providing you with a good home. You haven't said once that you've paid anything. I then asked to stay at his place, but he said he already asked his aunt and said no. I then asked if I could go with him. He said there wasn't a chance of me getting a visa for his country. I looked it up in front of him and saw nothing that said that. Okay, once you looked that up and saw something there, he doesn't want you to go. Okay, he's trying to be nice. He's obviously scrambling for building a case on, why he doesn't want you to go back with him. There's been evidence already early on in the relationship that you said somewhere before that he hasn't told you the truth. Let me just make this as clear as possible. He doesn't want you coming with him. He doesn't really want you living at the house. He doesn't feel as strongly as you do about the relationship. Okay? So you can twist this. You can put it in every version. You can say how much you love him, how much you care about him. And I understand. It's like a movie you said earlier. It's been like that. It hasn't been the experience it's been for you, for him. And this is why it's really good to write this story. Okay? And what people don't realize, and they do this again and again, they just assume, don't you feel what I feel? Don't you see what I see? No. You guys don't even speak the same language. I then asked if I can go with him. He said there wasn't a chance for me getting a visa to his country. I looked it up for him. I didn't see that. He then took it, the translator wrote, "You are beautiful. You are special to me. And I care about you. But I can't give you the love you give me." So you didn't say once he loves you. And that's not fair. Well, I think that's a very fair thing of him to do, to tell you the truth. I told him it was okay. I didn't care. I think you're lying. I think you do care. I then asked when he'd be back. He said probably about 1 to 2 years, but not sure. He said his family business needed him and that his parents were very controlling. He's 41, if I'm correct, and his parents are very controlling. That night we slept together and had incredible lovemaking. And the next day he said he still felt the same. I'm still living at the house, but I now stay in my room, and he's been much colder with me. I slept with him twice more too, but 2 days ago he told me he'd be leaving in 2 weeks, and his aunt wanted me out. His aunt then came over today and talked to me in private when he wasn't home. She said she knows her nephew cares about me, but he's got a lot of responsibilities back home, and that he actually has a family there, and that she somehow let out that this was not her home but his. I felt shocked, but actually hopeful that I could now stay there. Okay, so where this is going is you. He lied to you about that for a reason, but who knows what this sounds like one of those situations. He's not a citizen, so I don't know how he could own the home. I don't know which country it is in. Who says that the aunt's telling the truth completely? Maybe his parents own the house, right? The idea that you suddenly think, oh, now I could stay here. He lied to you for a reason, or told you his aunt said no for a reason. He doesn't want you to stay there when he's gone. 1 to 2 years is a long time to just let someone stay at your house, and I haven't heard you once say that you're going to pay anything. Okay? The aunt told me not to give up on him, and that she had been the other woman in a relationship, and that worked out great. She said She said he doesn't want to hurt me by telling the truth. Okay, so he's got a family in his home country. There's a possibility he actually owns the house. It's not his aunt's. You're under the impression you wrote earlier in this that he's rich. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors here. You said you've been together 2 years, but you still don't know. From what I can see here, the relationship isn't as strong as you think it is. I plan to talk to him tomorrow morning and let him know what his aunt told me. Do you have any advice on how I should approach this or talk to him or what I should say? I just want to keep our relationship going. I can't wait if he goes. I can wait if he goes home for a year. Have you? Hopefully you watched the beginning of this live stream and just didn't go straight to this. But have you been in a long distance relationship? The fact that you already say you're attached to him like you were your dad. How are you going to deal with that? Number two, he doesn't want a long distance relationship. Newsflash. So you're basically not listening. You're just looking at what you want. He doesn't want you to live there. A 1 year or 2 years for you to just live in the house for free, let alone even if you paid rent. If he's rich, does he want someone staying at his house? The idea that the aunt came into the picture and said what she said, she's not him. You know, I don't know how close they are. What's her objective here? The fact that she says that she was the other woman. Do you want to be the other woman? Is that part of the storybook movie that you've created? So, you know, some hard questions that you're going to have to answer for yourself. What are you really chasing? And is part of your attachment to the house, to the place, because you don't have anywhere else to go. And it sounds like a really nice place close to the beach. You said 2 minutes away. And you're hoping to just, you know, carry on this way. If he wants you to stay there, he'd tell you. If he wanted to be with you, he'd tell you. And you're taking it like, well, maybe I can approach this and somehow talk him into it. And thinking about it now, you kind of talked him into letting you live there. Now, the fact that you've slept together and you've hooked up, and that means a lot to you, it doesn't necessarily mean it means a lot to him. And that's the rub. And if I were you, when you do have this conversation, right, know what your intentions and what your objective is. It sounds like, okay, you can move, but can I stay at the house? So what if he said, hey, look, I love you, I care about you. He didn't say I love you, but let's just say he does that, and you break down that his aunt told you that he has another family, you're okay with that. And he goes, look, let's stay in contact, but I really don't want you staying at the house. And he goes, actually, it's my parents' house, or actually this. Can you deal with that? Would that be a deal breaker for you? Is that a big part of this? Because, I mean, having a place to stay that's nice. I think that that's a part of the equation that is motivating you here, that you're not being honest about. Because you're saying that if you didn't have this place, you'd be homeless. Now, the other option is go, hey, if you're going to be gone for a year, can I stay here for 6 months and pay you some kind of rent, take care of the house, take care of the bills? That would be a different arrangement. So I would separate the housing situation from the I'm in love and attached to him from what the aunt told you, right? Whatever the aunt tells you is secondhand information. According to him right now, he doesn't want a long distance relationship and he's not serious about you. Okay. If you want to negotiate the living situation, do that separately. They don't need to be in the same lane. I hope that helps. If you want to book a live coaching session, maybe divulge a little bit more, that might help. All right, let's check the live stream here. We got 8 on deck, 8 likes. I appreciate it. Donations are welcome. Lou Boo, I think you've been on before. Welcome. Where are you at in the world, Lou Boo? That sounds familiar, actually. And Windy Dawn, always a pleasure. Dropping me and say hi, Coach Mac McCarty. Wake up early for an appointment. Hope you have a great live. Hope you have a great day. Happy holidays to you, Windy Dawn, who's been on deck for days on the live stream. I know you missed the late nights. Every relationship has another dynamic, I think. What do you mean by that, Hendrik? If I may ask. What's that mean? Yes, if a person has materialistic personality. There's so many red flags already on him being a soulmate. He who cares less controls the relationship. If there's one thing you can learn, that's a big one. And can you accept it? It all could offer my limited knowledge. Yeah, Google Translate put it as a verb, but was a good one still made me smile. Okay, maybe she's using him as an Airbnb type freebie. I don't think that this is her using him. I think she's very much into him. I think she's just not honest with herself about. And this is an interesting thing to think about, right? Is due to an individual's circumstances, how much does someone having their own place in a good location make them more attractive? Interesting question to ponder. There's a lot of women out there that say if they're going to date a guy, he better have his own place. Well, what if his place is really nice in a really good location? Does that add to the splendor? I think it does. Especially if you don't have a place. He's been now colder with her, so he's hot after midnight, but generally cold at other times. Okay. Would be interesting to know which country he is from. Would be interesting. Wasn't stated, which is fine. You know, when you do write your story in, if you want to leave out details, people tell me just don't tell them my name. Leave out details if you're uncomfortable with it. I've had a few times over the years where people say, can you take that down? No problem. If you feel uncomfortable, 1-2 years rent-free saves a lot of money. Could have even saved as much for a down payment on her own house. Who knows? I don't know. She never mentioned what her job is. I got laid off. From a girl that was leading me on at my job for 7 months. She accused me from stalking and got me laid off. Lubu. That's confusing as hell. I got laid off from a girl that was leading me on at my job for 7 months. So that's one of those things when you say someone's leading you on, that's interpretation. I would need to know the details of that. It's certainly possible. And then accused me of stalking and got me laid off. So what were the accusations of stalking exactly? What was it? And was there any truth to that? And in this day and age, depending on where you live, you got to be extremely careful about that, because if it's your word against hers, the woman usually wins. The aunt likely doesn't understand relationship dynamics or psychology, of course. I mean, the aunt was just having a heart-to-heart and projecting what she believes is okay and good. She doesn't really speak. She doesn't speak for her nephew. And that's where when you go and talk to family members, you think that they're speaking for who you're with. They're not. They're speaking for themselves. They're speaking from their own situation. So if this was the light at the end of the tunnel for this individual, I wouldn't count on it. Me parking next to her, and she accused me of stalking her when she's been stalking me for 7 months. Sounds like a he said, she said. I heard it through the grapevine. Okay, so maybe you're, Lubu, this is a way to reframe that. Maybe you're better off not working there. Right? If you got individuals that you work with like that, okay, you might be better off, because that could have got worse. Ozzy, hello, watching from Sydney. Well, welcome, Ozzy. He spelled it with an A-U, or no, O-double-Z-Y instead of an A-U. Well, that's rather minimal. She's likely is searching for excuses to make these sort of allegations. Everyone's always building a case for what they want to believe. So she's afraid of getting rejected. I was the one that was talking about my bipolar ex. It was a while ago. Leading me on by following me at every line, following me with her car. Well, it sounds like it takes one to know one. A lot of times what I see in you, I see in me. So there's crazy people out there that will see crazy in you. That being said, like I said, Lubu, if you're the better person, the bigger person, you're better off not working with this individual. And if you didn't have any legal matters that really stung you, then you came out of this a lot cleaner than you realized, and it was a blessing in disguise. You got me? So she follows you, but then accuses you of stalking. Pete, what's with the The toque, your hat, you're in Cali, ain't it all sunshine and warmth out there? Well, that's where you're wrong, my friend. Northern California is damn cold. I'm in the north and it's freezing. My ears are numb. So yeah, that's why I got the hat on. It's not for style, it's just for warmth, my friend. But hopefully she's not a proponent to legal carry. Whoa. Pete, how have you been? It's ironic. I have a client. I have a client right now that has a very similar story to what you sent in over a year ago or 2 years ago. I'm not sure how long ago it was. Oh, Northern California is cold. That's a misnomer that California is warm. Southern California, I have a client that I just talked to yesterday that was in LA, had all the windows open. It was nice. Like when I lived in San Diego, you could wear flip-flops, around this time of year. It's beautiful. Northern California, it is icicles. I guess it's not that cold compared to northern Canada, Rob, or some other places, but for me, it's cold enough. I'd say it's in the 40s. I can check right now, actually. I've been wicked good as late. That's very East Coast of you. And that's very Canadian, right? I had some neighbors that were from Boston years ago when I lived in San Diego. East Coast. It's wicked crazy. It's wicked cool. Let's see what the temperature is. 41 degrees at noon. That's cold for me. 0 degrees up here yesterday. Swim trunk weather. Wow. I polarized her emotions once, then she got jealous and followed me with her car, and then she was watching me go on my car. How old are you, Lubu? How old are you? She's been doing stuff that she hasn't done to anybody else, and she's a supervisor. Just get out of her way. She's a supervisor. She's your boss. Move on. Get out of there. It's a minefield. You got booby traps all around you in situations like that, and this is what happens to a lot of people. Please listen. It's good you came to me. It's good you came to this live stream right now because I've seen this happen before. She did this. He did that. She did this. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And you go, wow, they did that? Get away. Okay? This is what I call it. It's like you're blowing a whistle, right? And you're going, look what they did to me. Look what they did to me. Look what they did. Look what they did. A lot of people don't care. Right? A lot of people just are like, well, did you move on from your job? Right? It's like, I'm going to make a citizen's arrest on this person. Get away from them. They're dangerous. It sounds like they're willing to go for the kneecaps. They're willing to go lower than you're willing to go on anything. And those people are dangerous. Right? Would you get in, let's just put this in a different direction, right? Let's say you're a boxer, right? And you're a badass boxer. And you're confident, you're strong. You're a courageous boxer. You'll take anyone on. And you got a fight coming up, and someone goes, wow, this person fights dirty. They actually put small shards of glass in their gloves. Now, there's a point where you go, well, that's not fair. They're going to fight dirty. Would you fight that person? No. Right? And that's what you deal with people like that. Look what they did. Look what they did. No one's just move on, get the hell out of there. Right? Just get out of there. Get a new job. And if that was like a excellent career type job, well then you might want to have to fight for it, okay? If it wasn't, take it as a cue and go, what do I really want to do? I mean, is this where I'm going to be forever? You got to reframe the whole situation. Mountain timer, what time from right now? In 1 hour, in 2 hours, in 3 hours? And I will do my best to accommodate you. The idea when you can't, this is frustrating because when I tell someone, hey, can you make an appointment on the website? Make it on the website, and they don't. It's very hard to do the time. If you want to do it It wasn't. I'm going to be a security guard soon. Is that an upgrade? Or, like I said, every crisis is an opportunity. But going right now, don't get caught up in this web. Don't get entangled with some idiot that falsely accuses you of things. Get away from them. They're dangerous. There's people out there where you go, I don't want to get entangled with this person because they're willing to go too low. I've worked with people like that. You work with people and you're like, this person's wrong. This person's lying. Have you ever had that? This person's lying. This person's doing this. And then you go, they're willing to go way too low. They're willing to lie. It was something I always wanted to be. So is it possible to still do that job or that place? Or can you, Mountain Timer, it's okay. Just give me a time. Don't say I think. So tell me in 2 hours or in 3 hours and I'll tell you yes or no. Got me? Give me a time and I'll tell you yes or no. I don't want to go, well, I think this afternoon. That's too broad. Give me a time, bro. And then I'll just tell you if I can. I need an update on the story from last stream. Which story? What was the job that they got you out of, Lubu? If I can, just make sure with future jobs you don't put her down as a reference. I've dealt with people like that, man. You gotta pick your battles, right? You gotta pick your battles when it comes to the workforce and work politics, right? You got to, because, and then like I said, there's ones that you can't win, and then you just got to get out of the way, man, because they're search and destroy. Estee Lauder, manpower. I'm not familiar with that. What that means. We'll get back to the drawing board. Do an ikigai. Have you ever heard of an ikigai? Do an ikigai, Lubu. That's your homework. Do an ikigai. See what comes up from that. Go ahead and Google that right now. 6 p.m. Mountain Time would be 5 p.m. Pacific. All right. Email me right now. Give me your, please download Skype. I think that will come in the best. You can put that on your phone or on your computer. Okay, so that would be Mountain Time. I believe that's 5 p.m. I can do that today. I can do that. Today's actually the guy whose girlfriend cheated with the ex from the coffee shop. God, I'm drawing a blank. That's rare. You caught me, Skinner. It'll come to me in a moment. Pablo Morales. I think I remember you. How you doing, Pablo? PD Pablo? Lubu, you never heard of that? That's why I'm telling you about it, bud. Google Ikigai. Print it out or write it out. It's an easy diagram. There's books on Ikigai. It's a Japanese thing. It's a great way to reassess what you want to do with your life in a simple way. Okay? So I would say if you're out of a job or you're transitioning into a new job or you're in a job you don't like, go do an Ikigai and just get on deck with basically what you want to do, how you could serve the world, what your talents are. And like I said, Google it and get back to me on the live stream. You'll be able to check it out real quick. I'm okay. My ex-wife keeps on coming in and out of my life, and then she goes cold on me. Well, where's your power? Why is she coming in and out of your life? Because you're letting her? You want her back in? She's manipulating you? What's the situation? Remember, he followed her to the coffee shop, and her friend wanted him to consider that. And okay. He didn't actually do a live coaching session. He just sent his story in. So I don't know what's going on now. And this is what happens. Sometimes people just want to take on the live stream, and they don't do a live coaching session. But actually, when you do a live coaching session, I don't divulge all that in the live stream. So that's just something I don't do as much. I definitely talk about situations, but I'm not sure what happened. It's an interesting one though, right? I think that's going to be more common in the future. There's going to be more open relationships. Definitely more people sharing. It goes on more than we think. No shame in it, as long as it's agreed upon, right? In his particular case, it sounds like, I think what's embarrassing about what happened with him is that anytime you have a partner that you roll up to a public scene, a coffee shop, a restaurant, a cafe, a library. I don't know if people even go to libraries anymore. And your partner is embarrassed or awkward around introducing you to their friends. They should be proud. That's not cool. That's shameful. They should want to introduce you to their friends. That's a huge red flag if someone doesn't want to introduce you to their friends. You don't have to be good friends with them. You don't have to like their friends. There's certainly cases where you're like, I don't like that friend or this or that, or they just rub you the wrong way. But if you run into each other and they're kind of awkward with you, as if they don't want to introduce you, especially if it's in that case, it's a guy and it's your girlfriend, she should make it crystal clear, this is my boyfriend. That's a problem. It's like, oh, I want to have an open relationship, but I didn't want to tell you that. I just wanted to do it. I'm okay. My ex-wife keeps on okay. I want her back in my life. We spent a whole week together. I stayed the night at her house every night, honestly. I know it's not good for me. Put me back today, one when we separated. Well, Pablo, send your story, and I don't know if we worked together before or not, because excuse me. But go ahead and send your story, and then we can get to the bottom of it. Let's do a live coaching session. Let's see here. Hold on one sec here. Just want to check something. Okay, Brad, just confirm either in the live stream or on the email that you want to do 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and we'll make it happen, bud. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I know you're really wanting to talk right now, so just confirm that right now in the live stream, and then, or like I said, in an email, so I can plan for that. Right, because I believe Mountain Time would be that. Have a session with Mac Pablo, worth every penny. Thanks, Pete. I appreciate it, bud. I'm happy you're doing really well right now. Good to be doing well during the holidays, right? Oh, here we go. Was anyone feeling, we got 9 on deck, 8 likes. I appreciate it. Donations welcome. Does anyone feel like it's tougher right now? It's tougher right now being the holidays. I know a lot of people out there will tell me like, oh, it's tough during the holidays. It's tough. Or they have a family gathering or a family Christmas party, and they feel like, I'm the only one that's single. I should actually do a show on this. We can talk about it now, but I'm the only one that's single right now. It's the holidays. And what people don't realize is that there's some people out there that are in marriages or long relationships at those Christmas parties that are like, oh, I'd kill to be single right now. Right? And you just don't know it. You just don't know it. You really don't know it. You think to yourself, you feel like that right now? Like you just assume all these people at the Christmas parties or these gatherings or these, and it kind of depends, I guess, on your family and how much they impose that you should be with someone. We are social creatures. We do like acceptance from the people we love and care about. And we really can't choose our family members. So we can choose if we go to those events. But you don't realize Mountain Timer, no problem. Just keep me posted and email me, okay, bud? I'll do my best to accommodate you. I just need a heads up. So I understand if you have that job. I just don't want to make a appointment where it's like, are you available? I might be available, right? I just need to know the time. If not today, then we can do it another day. But going back to the holidays thing, it's funny because there's just a lot of people that are in relationships that aren't happy, or that upon going to the Christmas party, they just got in a fight over something, right? And what's really interesting, I have a client right now that he's been in a 2-year plus relationship, and we've worked together on and off for 3 years. Now he comes to me for different advice and different things. And, they broke up. This was a few months ago. And he had anticipated that he wouldn't feel anything and that the breakup was right. And he had all his reasons, and his reasons were legitimate and good. And he tried and worked through the relationship. And I think the breakup was something that had to happen and was inevitable. And it had a lot of timing and circumstances issues. But now he's in the middle of it. And it's been about a month to 3 weeks. And it's like, it hurts. And that's what I said, look, no matter what, even when you break up, and you break up for the right reasons, and you have and you think to yourself before the breakup, like, I'll break up with you. Like, I'll walk out. And when someone does that, and they've lived together, and I know their character, it's not going to be that easy. If you've lived together, or you've had some love shared, you were officially boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner, and partner, it ain't going to be that easy. That doesn't mean the breakup was wrong. And actually, on the flip side, if you do breakups right, okay, you should hurt in the beginning. You're processing. You should be angry. You should be upset. Like you're going to flip into, you're processing the whole relationship of 2, 3, 4 years. There's going to be moments where you're like, I should have seen that. I hate her for that. I'm upset about that. And one thing I've learned, accept your feelings. Don't dwell in them. Don't hide them. Don't get drunk and wasted over them. Right? There's all kinds of ways to deal with problems in our lives. Processing things, which a coach or a therapist helps facilitate, doesn't mean you're just going to feel better in an instant or cured, but it will help you heal correctly. It will help you sift through things in the right way. Okay? But just because a breakup happened for the right reasons and was inevitable and had to happen, doesn't mean you're going to still get pissed off, hurt, upset, surprised by how hurt you are, because there's a void. And one of the reasons we as human beings like to have someone is we're social creatures. And correct me if I'm wrong, we're less and less social. Ironically, social media is considered social, but is it really the equivalent of camaraderie? Is it the equivalent of what we have for social interactions? And so we're probably more reliant on our personal relationships for that than we were before. And so if you go from that person being your primary source of socializing with another human being and they're out, even though it might not have been really good the last few months, it's tough. Send your story into writemac.com or let's unpack it, because it's, and I would add this, And Pete, you did this, if you're still on. Get it out there like right away. Because holding it for any period of time, it hardens up in your body. Right? Get it out. Talk to someone. It helps. I mean, I had uncles that would give me a thumbs up as a kid. I always found it weird, but everyone wants a thumbs up. What's up, Clutch? How you doing, bud? You know what's funny about the thumbs up? You want to hear something funny because you lived in other countries before too. It's funny coming back to the States and living in Thailand for 11 years plus, right? And I don't speak Thai fluent. Thai language is very difficult to learn from English. It's totally different language. It's tone oriented. That being said, I probably could have put more effort in the last 11 years, but I digress. I had a couple girlfriends that spoke very good English, and so I didn't need to speak it as much. In the area I lived in, I didn't need to speak Thai as much. That being said, when I came back to the States, I was like, wow, I'm surprised. I actually think that I actually think in Thai more than I thought, because I would have phrases or thoughts in Thai. But the funny thing is, and you'll like this, Clutch, and I'll get to your comment in a moment, is I found myself giving people thumbs up like, oh yeah, thumbs up, because thumbs up is actually very international and an easy way to communicate with people that don't speak your language. You don't realize how many times you can go, yeah, like the old Mentos commercials. And it's just funny. I was playing basketball at the gym, and I'd go, yeah, and I'd throw these out there because it's an international sign language, which there's a few other international sign languages that work everywhere. And I'd be like, yeah, man, yeah. And I'm like, nobody does that here, right? Just say, yeah, that was great. It's kind of funny. But you're talking about your uncles would give you a thumbs up if you brought someone nice to the family Christmas. Is that what you're talking about? Also, what's with the hat? I'm freezing. So that's what's with the hat. You ready to rap battle Eminem? 8th Mile? I don't think it's that much of a rap hat. I don't think so. I think this is a little softer look than that. Merino wool here. It's quite warm, I'll tell you that. I've never actually rapped in my life. I don't think I've free flowed ever. That's an interesting one. Have you done it before, Clutch? Jenna Brooks says, here's the thumbs up. Yeah, it must be funny though. Why does this guy keep throwing thumbs up all the time to everyone? You know, you see someone or something like that, it's like, it's international for, I'm okay, things are great. Another thing in Thailand, you'd go like, in Thailand, you make eye contact, you go, and you meet, here in America, someone looks at you like, what are you looking at, man? Like, I'll rap battle. I don't rap. I've never done it before. I have friends that are really good, that flow and whatnot. And there's some people that surprise you. I remember when I was in high school, there used to be a substitute that was famous, and he would do a flow or a rap, and the class just all knew him. He was a famous substitute. He was very popular. It was funny, and he liked it. MC Mac in the ham. 12:45. Got a few ones here. People wear those hats all day, every day. Yeah, and where I'm at in Northern California, it's very common. That's for sure. There's a lot of people. You know what surprises me about the States, if you guys want to get my culture shock coming back here, is how many people are walking around in pajamas in the afternoon. That's quite shocking. How many people go get their coffee in the morning in their pajamas and their slippers? And someone told me that's due to COVID, but I was kind of like, what's this all about? It's in to dress lazy? I wish I could use one of those here. It's hot. Where you at? Maritha, are you in Mexico? You're gonna go, no, I'm thinking of someone else. Oh, you're talking about dressing lazy? Coffee and yoga pants here. Where you at in the world, Jenna Brooks? Yoga pants are all right. They're cool. I mean, I could dig that, but I'm talking about just full on. It's 90 in Santiago today. Heat wave, yo. Wow. Are you in Chile still? Chile? Did I say it correct? No, it's Chile. It's Chile. Chile? No, it's Chile. What's it like to get a visa to go there? VA means Virginia. $90, wow. Here are little shorts, but with Uggs, because it's winter. Lil shorts? I could deal with that too. Chile. 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 Maritha, where you at? Northern Virginia, near DC. DC? Yeah, that would be cold. That would be cold. Like I said, it's 41 here right now. That's cold for me. It was colder this morning. There's a new president? I wouldn't even know. I don't watch the news. Are you talking about the one that's been in for the whole year? Also, Pete, shame on you for deleting Discord. I haven't been on that Discord in a long time. All right, folks, any closing questions? We've got 12 on deck. Long distance relationships, why they work, why they don't work. If you have a question on that or your relationship, let me know. If you want to book a live coaching session, go to writemac.com, WRITEMAC.com. If you want to send your story, and like the individual that wrote earlier today was brave enough to share their experience, send that in to writemac.com, and I'll unpack it in a live stream like this. And be as detailed as possible. Your story counts, so your name or anything like that is not going to be shared, and it's important if you want to get some good advice to share everything. Wow, 29 degrees in the wind. Jeez. Why would anyone settle in those kind of places, Rob? I guess you get used to it, huh? I miss my flip-flops. It's listed under the device identifier. You can pull it under the product list. I don't know what that means. Jenna Brooks, is this your last live of the year, or will you do more? No, I'll probably do the one a day for the next few days. I'm on a beach in Mexico right now. So I was right. You are in Mexico. About to travel to Mexico City for Christmas and then Texas for the New Year. Good for you. Get it in. Good for you, Maritha. And they do Uggs and shorts on the beach. Good for you. That sounds delightful. Everything, that's the thing about environments. Everything's adaptable. That's the story of the human race, right? Use Celsius. That's international. Good for you. Cold at the beach. I haven't been to Mexico in years. I'd like to go to that. What's up, Petty Betty? You in the Bay yet? You back in Cali? I did have Toronto has a beach. I mean, Northern Canada, is that even something that someone would go to the beach for what? To throw rocks? Or I guess you could have a fire there. Oh, that's the area I want to go to. I want to go to this. Is that what it's called? Tulum? Yeah, there was a client of mine that is sending pictures from their Airbnb in Tulum, where the Caribbean is at. Oh, man, that looked gorgeous. Delightful. There's a nude beach in Toronto where it's that cold. Wow. That's not favorable for the men, I don't think. I don't know Holabox, but I mean, this friend of mine that travels all around and now can work from the computer sent me these pictures from, I think it's Tulum. It's just gorgeous. Yeah, Petty Betty, you're going to have to contact me if you're in California. Let me know how you're doing. It's been a while. How the move went and everything. If you ended up working at a new shop and all that other stuff, it'd be good to touch base. Speak for yourself, Mac. Hey, the cold's the cold. I think it affects most people the same. Oh, man, that sounds good. I do always speak for myself. You know what's funny about that statement? We all speak for ourselves. It's called projecting, right? We just don't know it. Sometimes we think we speak for everyone else. It was funny. A friend of mine just sent me a text recently. What percentage of LD relationships last? Who knows? But if I had to guess, maybe 10 to 20%. And what would be the definition of lasting? It definitely wouldn't be more than 10 or 20%, I would say. Yeah, I will, and now I do the laundry outside in the dark by myself. What's that all about? It's speaking for yourself, Mac. Just that statement alone. So this, I have to go back to it. So this friend of mine, she was texting me about how she told the truth to one of her friends, and their friend got really upset. And she's like, I was just telling the truth. And they got really upset about what I told them. And I was just being honest. And I said, well, were you telling him your opinion, or were you telling him the truth? Think about that for a minute. And she's like, well, both. No. You're just projecting what's true to you. Isn't that funny how you think that way, though? I was telling them the truth. I was being honest with them about your opinion or the truth. And then they did like an LOL, and I was like, they probably didn't like your opinion. Well, I was just being honest. Yeah, well, you're being honest about what's true to you. All right. I'm at Puerto Escondido, RN Surfer Beach, and there is a nude beach like 45 minutes from here. I remember well. Escondido's like a city in San Diego too. Assuming you don't take her to the nude beach in the winter, it will skew that percentage. Touche. See you next time. Take it easy, Jenna. Tons of people come to work remotely here too. Less expensive than Tulum though. Yeah, that's a big thing right now. Are they doing a lot of cohabit spaces and stuff in Mexico? We were talking about long distance relationships for about the last hour. But then we got off topic like I usually do, and now it's free flow. Take care, Clutch. Happy holidays, bud. All right, folks. It's been good. It's been grand. Thanks for riding today. I will be on in the next few days, probably around the same time. It's curtains.